Hello everyone, phoenixEye here. Today we are beginning our next stop on our Archetype Pilgrimage. We are going to be looking at the wight or skull servant archetype. I know very little about this archetype beyond the fact that there is, I believe, the card's King of the Skull Servants. That's kind of like the main monster, which gets stronger depending on cards in the graveyard. That's like about all I know, so just a deck focused around summoning a large monster. But let's start, before we look at the card, let's just check out the wiki real quick. Let's see what it has to say about it. The wight or skull servant is a series of zombie monsters, you don't say. The most famous wight monster is Skull Servant, a normal monster with low attack and defense that appears in several card artworks. Some wight monsters appear in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Okay. Playing style, this deck's main strategy is to populate the graveyard with Skull Servants. There we go. Lady in white, white mare, white prince, white princess and king of the skull servants to summon King of the Skull Servants with up to 17,000 attack. That's quite some big stuff. Let's just skip most of this, because it would be a waste to spoil ourselves too much. So yeah, let's go and get into the cards. We'll of course start off on Skull Servant. For as far as I know, yeah, this is just a normal monster. It's like one of those cases where it's just a simple normal monster, it's more or less a deck filler. But it became kind of iconic and it was an archetype built around it. I believe that's kind of how it went down. But yeah, just a level 1 normal monster. I assume that we are going to end up running this because, well, we're going to need this kind of stuff in the graveyard, I believe. But we'll see how necessary it actually is. Okay, next we have King of the Skull Servants. It's quite a cool card art if you ask me. Let's see, it's a level 1. It's actually kind of surprising. I was kind of expecting King of the Skull Servants to be like a little bit of a higher level. But the original attack of this card is the combined number of King of the Skull Servants and Skull Servants in your graveyard times 1000. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other King of the Skull Servants or one Skull Servant from your deck, or one Skull Servant from your graveyard, special summon this card. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. So it essentially, once it's on the field, it just can keep on summoning itself. Ah, that's pretty nifty. I think that's probably going to make, because is it destroyed by battle specifically? Okay, no. With how big it's going to be, probably won't be destroyed by battle too much, but so it's not a too relevant effect. But yeah, I believe it's just, it is a card you can get to be really big. So here we have White Prince, another level 1 zombie. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send one Skull Servant and one the Lady in White from your hand and or deck to the graveyard. That's actually pretty good. You can banish 2 Skull Servants and discard from your graveyard, special summon one King of the Skull Servant from your deck. This card names become Skull Servant while it's in the graveyard. Yeah, I believe that this is like a theme with most of these cards, that they all become Skull Servants essentially. And yeah, beyond that, it seems like, yeah, if you can just use Foolish Burial on this guy, then that's like instantly 3 Skull Servants in your graveyard, so that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think that this is probably going to be a pretty important card to run. The summoning from the deck, that seems like a pretty decent effect. Don't know how often I will use it, since I do still need a lot of cards in the graveyard, so it would be a waste to banish them. Okay, White Mare, very cool. Also level 1. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while it's in the graveyard. You can discard this card and activate one of the following effects. Target one of your banished Skull Servant or White Mare, return it to the graveyard. That's pretty good. Target one banished the Lady in white or King of the Cool Servants, special summon it. Oh, that's pretty good actually. So first of all, you can draw this, when you draw this card, it's very easy to get it into the graveyard and can return your banished monsters, making the whole banish cost a bit less severe. And summon one of the banished ones of these. I have to look at what exactly the Lady in White does, but that seems like a pretty good card to run, I'd say. Okay, the Lady in White. This is a level 3 actually, and also has a lot of defense. Face of level 3 or lower zombie type monsters on the field, except the Lady in White, cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by spell trap effects. This card name becomes Skull Servant on the grave. That's pretty ridiculous. So as long as this card's on the field, you essentially just make your king completely invincible. And all other Skull Servants you have laying around. Yeah, I am going to, because this is going to be an important card to have on the field, of course. Let's see, his name, yeah. But yeah. I'm gonna see if there's a good way of protecting this card specifically, because it would, of course, if I lose this card, it's probably going to be a big part of the strategy is having this card on the field, and if I lose it, it would be a real shame. But yeah, this is probably going to be one of the best cards to run. Okay, then we have another level 3 White Princess. This card's name becomes Skull Servant Wealth in the graveyard. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one White Prince from your deck to the graveyard during either player's turn. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. All monsters currently on the field lose attack and defense equal to their own level rank times 300 till the end of this turn. Okay, so the discard effect does not seem to be too good. I mean, like, an easy way to get it in the grave, I guess. I'm mostly impressed with so if you open this card, you can normal summon it, then you can use the effect to send, what was it called, White Prince to the grave, which then sends a Skull Servant and a Lady in White to the grave. So that's really kind of like a chain that's created. That's pretty hardcore. Okay, next, the only spell from the main line apparently, Try White. Actually used to run this in an Ojama deck at some point, because target 3 level 2 or lower normal monsters in your graveyard, special summon them from the graveyard. I mean, I'm gonna have to see how essential this card is going to be. Like, if there are good rank 1 monsters, for instance, to go into, and it's really easy to get 3 of the Skull Servants in the deck, or in the graveyard, then this card is going to be pretty good, because you can just summon all 3 of those and then make a big rank or link monster. But I'm going to see how essential this card will actually be. So I decided to also take a quick look at the cards that were listed as related, but as you can see, it's not really anything worth going over. It's just 2 kind of irrelevant normal monsters and 2 fusions, or yeah, 2 fusions that you can make. It's like completely useless and irrelevant, like a 1000 attack fusion that would require me to run a useless card and a fusion spell. Yeah, okay, no thank you. And beyond that, I mean, I assume that this one is here because it looks like it, but it's an OCG exclusive, so it's really completely irrelevant. So yeah, those were apparently all the whites that we had. So I'm going to put them in order real quick. Will be a pretty easy rank list. I won't be including these cards because, you know, they're completely irrelevant to the archetype as a whole. Okay, I put the cards in a bit of a improvised tier list here. So this is essentially in order from left to right is how essential it is to run these cards in my opinion. But looking at it, I think you kind of want to run all of these. But it's just kind of a small tier list from how good I think they're going to be during the combos. To how two cards that are, I don't think will really be necessary. So at the top we have White Prince. Like, this thing is essentially just a very easy way to make any sort of Foolish Burial, for instance, like just triple as effective. I think since getting stuff in your graveyard is so essential that this is just going to be one of the main combo pieces. White Prince has put it a little bit lower because it's kind of the same. It's really it directly triggers the effect of White Prince, which is great, but it is required to be summoned, so you do need to have it in your hand, which makes it a bit more limited, but ultimately still a good card. Then I put King of Skull Servants, is of course the card that you're gonna want to end up with. I mainly put these up front because these are going to be a big combo mix. This is going to be what you end up with, but this card is not going to be nearly as big without this stuff. After that we have Lady in White. While this card is going to be very important to add just some serious protection to the field, it's not like 100% super essential, so to speak. Like going second, for instance, we would still be able to just make this card ridiculously large and OTK with it without Lady in White having to interfere, but it's still going to be an important card on the field. Skull Servant put all the way down here. Like, it is kind of essential to run still, but on its own is of course not going to do anything. It's just kind of here to chill out and be sent to the graveyard. I mean, whatever you're into, I guess. Here we have White Mare. I like its effects, like the returning the banished things, but it's more of a novelty, like something that you would do when you already have had your entire combo to just kind of do some really small extensions or some really small improvement with this card. Still probably going to run it, but this might be like the only card I won't put at 3 right away. Then we have Tri-White. I put this all the way at the back because it's not like an essential card to this combo at all. Like, it can bring out 3 Skull Servants and maybe it would very small chance that it might be worth to run some more small zombies or some small normals to get this effect out. And it really depends on what kind of extra deck monster you can make with it. But yeah, that's why I put it in the back, because it is by definition a good card if it really suits the deck, but in this case it just doesn't really suit it. It fits better in with Ojamas. This concludes the review of all of the Skull Servants or the white cards. Next episode we're going to make a deck with it, something that I hope will be able to compete, or on at least a casual level with looking at this. It probably will be able to take some people by surprise, because as we saw in our Blue Eyes trip, a lot of people kind of don't know how to deal with ridiculously large and slightly protected monsters, which is what this deck is going to bring out perfectly. Beyond, yeah, it doesn't consist out of a lot of cards, but that will just make things a little bit easier, and then I hope to see all of you next time when we make this deck, and after that see if we can actually take some people out with ridiculously large zombies. With that said, have a nice day.